I'm about to show you how you can save time, energy, and even money by making these 3 simple dump and go vegan crock-pot meals. Our first meal today is an easy chickpea curry. You'll start by chopping 1 medium yellow onion, and we'll add it first. Now, this is a dump and go recipe, so I'm not cooking my onion beforehand or my garlic or ginger, but you can. You totally could if you wanted to. Next, we'll take 5 cloves of garlic. So I'll just go ahead and mince these 5 cloves. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Next, we'll add an inch of fresh ginger. Now, I actually don't have fresh ginger on hand, but I did buy these frozen crushed ginger, and so I'll use this instead, which still tastes fresh. So an inch, gonna be about 2. Next, we'll dump in a can of diced tomatoes. These are petite diced with the juices. And then we'll take a tablespoon of tomato paste. Now for the spices. We'll add 1 teaspoon of thyme. If you have fresh thyme, even better. Then we'll add 2 tablespoons of curry powder. And yes, I said tablespoons. This is why it is chickpea curry. It's this. Next, we'll add 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm using light salt. And of course, you can always add more afterwards when it's all cooked, so you can taste it and add more then. Then it is a half a teaspoon of allspice, a half a teaspoon of cumin, and a half a teaspoon of garam masala. To bring in more of that yummy ginger flavor, we'll also add a half a teaspoon of ground ginger. And to brighten up the color so that it's not just like a muddy color, we're gonna add 1/4 of a teaspoon of turmeric. If you like it spicy, you can also add red pepper flakes to this. Because my kids are gonna eat it, I'm not going to make it any spicier than this. Then we'll finish it off with our star ingredients. We have a half a cup of veggie stock. I'm just gonna use it from a carton to make everything easier. Then we'll add our can of chickpeas and our can of coconut milk. Now, if you're looking to lose weight for weight loss, you probably won't wanna use the full fat coconut milk, but instead you can either use light coconut milk or coconut milk from the carton, kind of like a plant milk instead, or even soy milk with a little bit of coconut oil extract to bring in that coconut flavor. So lots of options here, but I'm gonna use just that regular coconut milk, make this nice and creamy and delicious. All right, we'll mix everything together and then we'll cook this on high for 3 to 4 hours and enjoy the smell of curry in your home. All right, let's cover it up and cook on high for 3 to 4 hours. In the meantime, I'm also putting some brown rice in my Instant Pot. All right, it has been 4 hours. Look at that, looks so good. It's now dinner time. Yum. Now the last step is actually to throw in some greens, like a handful of spinach, but I don't have any, but I do have these microgreens. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw them in, but any type of greens work to just finish it off. And then we'll mix it in and it's already off the heat and then it is ready to serve. Yum. Next, let's make a little sweet and spicy black bean sweet potato chili. First, you'll add 1 diced red onion to your crock pot. Next, we'll add 6 cloves of garlic, then 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, 1 and 2. 2 teaspoons of ground cumin, 1 and 2. 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1 and 2, and 2 teaspoons of onion powder. I love it when the seasonings are all the same. 1 and 2. Then you'll take 3 tablespoons of orange juice concentrate. 1, 2, and 3. Then we'll add 3/4 cup of water. Now, alternatively, you could have just added 3/4 cup of orange juice, but I don't have orange juice on hand, but I do have concentrate. This is the secret to this chili. This is what gives it all the delicious flavor. So we'll open this up. We're gonna dump in as much sauce as we possibly can. And then if you like more spice, you can actually add an individual chipotle. This is the coolest can opener ever. It's like so awesome. I'll link it below. So now we want to get as much of the sauce as possible, at least 3 tablespoons. So 1, it smells so good. 2, 3. Another trick you can do is actually add one of these chilies or chipotles and then take it out right before you eat so that you get the flavor without all the spice. I have to be careful because if it's too spicy, my kids will not eat it, but I love the spice. Next, we'll add 2 cans of black beans. Make sure they're rinsed and drained. And then I previously chopped about 1 large sweet potato and 1 small one, or you can do just 2 medium sweet potatoes, enough to fill up this 5-cup container. So it's about 5 cups of chopped sweet potatoes. Then you'll add 2.5 cups of water. So I just went ahead and filled up this can of diced tomatoes with water because I know that's 2.5 cups. And then it pulls out the rest of the juices. Now, instead of the water, you could just add broth, but I'm using my Better Than Bouillon veggie paste. So I'll now add 2.5 teaspoons of that paste. And then let's mix it all in there. And then to finish it off, we'll add about a teaspoon of light salt. You can just have regular salt if that's all you have on hand. So a teaspoon of light salt. And then any pepper if you want to add some pepper. When this is cooked through, at the very, very end, I will be adding a bag of corn, about a 10-ounce bag of corn. So that's one thing that we have left. I'm going to add that at the very end so that it cools it down right before we're ready to eat. All right, and now we'll just put on the lid and set it on high for 4 hours. All right, it has been 4 hours, and this is what it looks like. So let's go ahead and add the corn. I'm just adding about 10 ounces and then mixing it through, which is the perfect thing to just cool everything down. Then go ahead and taste it and see if you need to add any salt and pepper. And then you'll go ahead and garnish with cilantro. Hey, real quick, have you signed up for my free 1-week meal guide? It is a full week of delicious whole food plant-based recipes with the shopping list to make it even easier for you to just go to the store, buy all the things, and actually use this free meal guide. Not like the other meal guides that are still just in your email inbox. Click on the link below, grab it, you'll love it. The last recipe is lasagna. And let's be honest, this was everyone's favorite. And yes, it is vegan. The first thing we need to do is to make the cheese. Since we're not using cottage cheese or ricotta cheese, we have to make our own tofu cheese. But it's super simple, let me show you how. You'll take 1 package of firm tofu. You could use super firm, but I think it's easier to crumble when it's just firm or extra firm. You don't want it to be difficult to crumble up and mix together. You could also use your food processor for this, and I'm just going to do it in a bowl to show you how simple it can be. So we'll dump the liquid out, and then we'll add the tofu to the bowl. Make sure that you don't get any of the extra liquid in the bowl. You don't have to press the tofu. I mean, this is just fine. Just don't add any extra liquid with the tofu. Next, you'll add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Now, I am out of lemons. I forgot to buy them at the grocery store, and so thank goodness we have some backup lemon juice. So 2 tablespoons. Usually I prefer fresh, but this works when you're in a pinch. For the spices, we're keeping it simple and adding 2 teaspoons of everything. So first is 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning, 1 and 2. Next is 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1 and 2. And then we gotta make it taste like cheese, so we need to add the salt. I'm keeping it with light salt just so that it is less sodium overall, but it is going to be 2 teaspoons. And the last ingredient for the ricotta tofu cheese is to add some vegan yogurt. Any yogurt works, and it's 3/4 of a cup. So 1, 2, and 3. This is so it just mixes a little bit better. Now all we do is smash this with a fork until it's fluffy and incorporated. You don't necessarily need a food processor. It literally looks just like cottage cheese. All right, let's dump everything in the crock pot. I have to show you this first. Before I went in the pantry to look for more marinara sauce, I was like, oh, let me just look in the fridge. 3. I found 3, all opened, partly used. We're gonna use them all today. Kids. First, we'll layer the bottom of the crock pot with some sauce. Next, we'll take our lasagna noodles. Now, these are not gonna all fit perfectly, so you may have to break some apart to let them fit. And you'll also use less noodles when you're making it in the crock pot than you would if you were making it in the oven. And you do not need to cook them beforehand. Next layer is the ricotta cheese, tofu ricotta cheese. The next layer is veggies of choice. So I'll just take some bell pepper that I cut up earlier. It's small enough that the kids won't really notice. I'm also going to add some lentils. These are nice and already cooked. Otherwise you'll want to cook them beforehand. You could have done mushrooms instead of lentils. You could do tomatoes. You could do zucchini. Kind of choose your favorite veggies, or honestly whatever veggies you have on hand, which is what I did. And then I'm going to add some spinach too. And if you want to go the extra mile, you could even cook down the spinach beforehand so it doesn't get too bulky. But just a little won't hurt. And then we start all over again with sauce. If you're measuring it up, it's about 1.3 cups each time. Onto my second jar. And then noodles, and it'll be 3 noodles. Perfect one right in the middle, broken ones on the sides. It's like a puzzle piece. Ricotta cheese, and by ricotta cheese, you know I mean tofu ricotta. And you'll want to save enough for about 1 more layer. Then veggies. This is the last layer of veggies, so keep that in mind. And spinach. Onto my 3rd bottle. We have sauce. Lasagna. Oh yeah, 3rd time like a charm. Look at that. Ah, beautiful. And then ricotta, So now we're skipping the veggies and we're going straight to the last layer on top with just some sauce. Here's the deal. You can cook this just as is and it works perfectly, totally fine. You can put breadcrumbs on top, totally fine. You can put vegan Parmesan cheese on top or like an almond flour Parmesan cheese. Or you could use some vegan cheese just for the decor, right? Just for on top. You're not using a ton. And the beauty of vegan cheese in a crock pot is that with the moisture of the crock pot, it actually melts. Where sometimes if you're cooking this in an oven, it really won't melt that well. But again, you can totally skip this. You do not have to use vegan cheese. It's amazing how much it smells like cheese. All right, I finished off 2 of the bottles. I still have 1 left. You will only need about 1 bottle, but if you really love sauce, you could add a half of another jar of marinara sauce. I will cook this on high for 4 hours. Dinner is done, so let me go ahead and open it up. The top broke, so I need to figure out how to fix that, but look at that. Yum. This looks so good and smells so good. Patiently waiting. Are you excited? Yum. Okay, it's actually best to let this cool before you serve it so it stays more like lasagna and doesn't turn into a soup. What do you think?
2 thumbs up. I like it. I love it.
I made some asparagus to go with it. If you liked these 3 vegan dump and go crock-pot recipes, I know you'll definitely want to check out my other dump and go crock-pot recipes, as well as my other video where I show you some delicious crock-pot vegan meal ideas. Because let's be honest, there's not a lot of vegan crock-pot recipes out there, so make sure to check those out too.
Oh.